Hey everybody, Culture Asking, and today guys, I'm here to another anime review, and this anime review is to Fate Apocrypha, episode 14, guys. Episode 14 of Fate Apocrypha. So let's get into it. Now first guys, I gotta mention this. For most of this episode, the beginning part, I was a bit clueless of whose backstory that was, because I either thought it was Shiro Kotomine, other self, the one possessed, right? Who's right now is Shiro Kotomine, the one who's the other ruler, pretty much the second ruler, Shiro Kotomine. I don't know if that was his backstory, or was it Castor or Black, who's now technically Castor Red, backstory, because I was a bit clueless, that little backstory at the beginning, who is he focused on? But after watching the rest of the episode, I can come to the conclusion that backstory was mostly based on Castor of Black / technically now Castor of Red. Now, not now because he actually died in this episode as well. But Castor of originally Black. I'm now saying that because he switched styles, but originally of Black. He was, you see a backstory, and it seems like he's similar interest to actress Shiro Kotomine, salvation, and how pretty much get rid of all evil in this world, pretty much. And that's what his pretty much goal is, technically, from what it looks like it, even though he says he has no interest in the Holy Grail, because it seems like his overall goal is actually this golem he's summoned. His overall goal is to summon this golem known as Eden, the Golem of Eden, pretty much. And it's Eden. Oh god, we all know how Eden is always involved. Eden is one of the if you guys don't know, is remember correct, apple of Eden, first peoples, pretty much that kind of shit. And pretty much it has the ability, every time it crushes things, it revives plant life, pretty much. All that kind of thing. But by doing that, it's also gaining more strength, and unfortunately, it will cause mass destruction. It needs to destroy what's in its path to create new life. The problem is, by doing that, he needs to suck other living life to create some more life. And unfortunately, that's what what his goal ends up doing. Now, like I said, pretty much all this episode is pretty much all the servants that pretty much escaped the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The ones who escaped, all the servants that escaped, would now start to fight this golem because it decides to attack. Now, Castor Black, originally Black, now actually dies in this episode. Technically dies, but he ends up fusing with his golem because Archer Black, Corin, he pretty much shoots an arrow at his head and kills him pretty much. But we found his normal phantasm doesn't disappear; it's continuous until someone destroys it. That's how, unfortunately, that's how powerful the weapon his normal phantasm is. And because of that, ruler had to get involved because it's way surpassed than what it should do for the Holy Grail War. So obviously, it had to be destroyed, and obviously, ruler had to join. Now, during most, like I said, pretty much all this episode is a fight scene. We now get a chance to see some abilities that some people we didn't know can pull off, or how well they can fight together. Now, with Sig the relationship between Sig and Ruler, you can definitely tell Ruler is now starting to get some feelings for Sig. She started to get some feelings. We already know she somehow getting some feelings for Sig, but some reason she's now starting to get some feelings, because at the beginning of this part of this episode, after she returns from the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, she talks to Sig saying, "What's going on? Why are you part of this Great War and everything?" And she's pretty much just worrying about him, and obviously she told him he doesn't want to see any of this happen again, and he doesn't want to be left behind of not doing anything about it. So, and that's what he pretty much tells her, and she, unfortunately, and she also tells, as she's now the master of Ryder, Astropol, pretty much, and she knows she has to accept him as a masterless servant, and accept him as a master for this situation, and he of course accepts. Now with Sig's now in the episode we also see a special ability that Sig's command seals have, because we all know compared to the other command seals, Sig command seals were different to the other command seals because they're black. Majority of command seals, they usually are red. They're usually red. So I skip like the overall image doesn't matter because every single master's command seals are always different shapes and symbols. But with Sig's command seals, they, like I said, they were black. They were black. They're not red compared to the others. So I knew it was going to be some form of difference between these command seals and the other command seals. And it looks like his command seals, again, does control a servant. It does control servants. So obviously you can control a servant with those command seals. But it seems like it has an extra ability. Because Sig having the heart of Siegfried, it seems like if he commands his own body, these command seals can command his own body to turn into Siegfried himself. So we now know technically Sig can turn into Siegfried 3 times. He can turn into him 3 times. Possibly he might learn how to actually use it completely. Or possibly he only has a free chance of using this ability. But now we know he has the ability to transform into Sig, to limit it to 3 times. And of course, he used it once before, again, when he was facing Saber, Red, and facing Mordred in episode, I think, 8 and 9. I might be wrong, but those episodes, I think I remember correctly, that's when we see Sig transform into Siegfried. And it looks like because of that, he used 1 command seal up. Next, of course, he used his 2nd command seal to transform into to Siegfried. So now he only has 1 command seal left, because every master only has, unfortunately, 3 command seals. Now, I don't know how, and of course, that now we know the limitations of how Siegfried now, because of that, as his command seals have more use than other command seals does, that means tactically, Sig definitely needs to see tactically when to use his command seals. Because he can't just use his command seals willy-nilly. He can't, of course, no one in the Holy Grail War can use their command seals willy-nilly, because that's just a proof of their master and servant contract. And if they use the command seals, the master and servant no longer contract with their master anymore. That's the biggest problem. But what the command seals are usually used for is absolute order to their servant, to make them order to do one thing they absolutely have to follow. They unfortunately absolutely have to follow it. They can't deny it or anything. Well, they can, but it takes a lot of magical energy and possibly could actually kill them if they don't obey the order. So, and you guys know from actually the last episode, how Astolfo was still technically under the control of the command seal, and we see how much pain he was going through after getting ordered by his original master, who got beheaded by Saber Red, by Mordred. So we all know that how painful, and it again, look, I think possibility because of his master being dead. If his master wasn't dead, I believe if Astral was able to stop not attacking him, Sig, it would have ended up involving Astolfo dying. It would have ended up with Astolfo dying from stress from the actual command seal order. So I feel like that's what could have happened to Astolfo. I think it was lucky for Astolfo that his master died that time. His old master died at that time, so the command seal had time to, of course, wave away the order being nullified. So obviously it's going to make sense why it's he was able to survive the command cell. But I take it he will have died if his master still kept on still alive. He could have possibly, obviously he was going to deny the command cell no matter what, but obviously he will have maybe died from the stress, from the strain of the command cell's order. So yeah, that just shows you that it's possible, but there's a high possibility of you dying from not ordering the command seal. So that's why I picked. But with the command seal, back to the main also about the command seal, is that with the command seals, as Sig had more multiple use than the other ones because they only like I said, the other ones usually give it a complete command order. But it looks like even though it does still mean complete command order, with the servant has to technically have to every master its servant that's under control of the command cells have to obey the order. It seems like the actual bonus is as technically his command cells are also to connect to his heart in his body to transform into Siegfried. So Sig has an extra use of the command cells and an offensive use to be more exact, more of an offensive use than just absolute command. It gives Sig an extra power up. It doesn't just give him orders. He doesn't give him the ability to order a servant, but it also gives himself a power up. So that just shows you it actually has more useful than compared to the other command cells, because it won't just benefit the servant to get powered up by the command cell, but also benefits the master of the command cell. So that's quite useful quite useful for Sig, but yet again, as he's only limited to 3, he has to decide of when he's either going to use the command cells as an offensive or as a defensive command cell order. Because offensive command order, obviously, he will use it on himself to attack. But as a defensive order, he will order his own servant, and in this case, Rider Astrofold, he will maybe order him to do something. That'll be a defensive that'll be a defensive way. So you can say Rider, like Astrofold, is the defense, while Sig is the attack. You can say, and that's how his command cell works. He's got more options, but again, that means he gets more stressed on when to use command cells, because we all know that most command cells are definitely more used for defensive purposes than actual attack purposes. Like, even the power up on servants have tools, technically. Like, even though they're living beings, and, don't forget, in the main scheme of things, they are technically tools. Living tools of personality you should respect. But in the end of the game, when it comes to command cells in general, they're tools. And of course, tools can be used as defense, which is unfortunate truth. So that's why the certain command cell sort of situation, the servant is more the defense than actual proper attack. They're just a complete defense, pretty much, when it comes to command cells. So the command cells, like I said, use the servant more for defense than actual attack. While with Sig, these command cells, Sig has now the option to use them for attack. It's just, he has to use them himself, and plus he's only limited to 3. That means it makes it even more stressful, because he now has to decide either he wants to attack or defend with these command cells. Right now, so far, he only used them twice, and they're both being attacked. So, definitely know how he can, the possibilities he can use with his command cells. Now, let's go back to the main episode in general. Now, after Sig, we found out that this golem cannot be properly destroyed unless you attack the main core, the main heart, which we ends up being the master of Caster of originally Black, who he used as the core, and by doing that, of course, it killed the master, and also again killed Caster originally Black, and because of that, after destroying the main core, they've now destroyed the golem, and the episode pretty much ends with that, with a sort of giddy relationship between, you see, like, a relationship bond between, Ruler Joan of Arc and Sig. We see that definitely Joan of Arc is definitely getting a bit of a crush on Sig, which is quite funny to see that relationship between them. Now, we found out Saber of Red, Mordred does come into the battle between the servants and the golem. She does come in after, because now the command cells can order other servants to get summoned to her. Like, we already know this ruler's command cells can order a servant to do something. I didn't know it, but means like other command seals, it also has the ability to order the servant to be transported to where they are right now. So obviously she orders Saber Red to get summoned here to help them attack the golem, and after but of course she wouldn't do it for free. Like she only ordered her to fight, help them fight. Help get summoned here, but then Ruler asked him to help fight the golem, but what Mordred asks for, I will only do that if you're willing to give me one of your command seals. Well, she says two, but Ruler absolutely denies. But she does say, "I'll at least give you one." And Saber Red, okay, I accept that. And she, of course, now going to get, after defeating the golem, she's now going to get a command seal from her. And I don't know how, given the command seal, so I take it, after getting a command seal, she can use it to power herself up or something? I have no idea, but obviously, as she's going to get a command seal, there's one advantage she's going to gain, and that is she can command a servant herself. Don't forget, the other servants that gain command seals can become masters of servants as well. Look at Caston from Fate Stay Night. Media. She became a master after she gained command seals from her previous master. And she became, it was some assassin, Sojiro, from the story of the legendary master swordsman, Sojiro Orochi. And she was able to summon him pretty much as a servant and become a master. So we already know that servants can become masters from just saying that. And that was quite, and so obviously I take it now from that, we take it Mordred now has the possibility to become a master herself as well. But of course the limitation of being a servant as well, she of course have other limitations as well. So I was quite interested in learning from that. Now, and that's pretty much what the episode is pretty much about. The fight between the servants that was able to escape from the Howling Gardens of Barrelon, and fighting against Castor, originally Black, who now is the Golem, who they end up defeating in the end. So, and pretty much Saber Red, Matt Mordred getting the command seal from a ruler, from accepting the payment as a payment to helping her to defeat, her defeat the Golem. So yeah. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this episode in general. Now, animation quality looked very good. I don't think I saw any problems. I think there might have been one. I can't remember, but I think there might be some more, But for animation quality, compared to other fight scenes, this is definitely one of the more lower quality fight scenes from the previous episode. The other episodes, I've got to see the fighting scenes look crisp, freaking good. I like them. But this fighting scene, I feel like the epicness and the overall battle looked a bit down. The animation for that looked a bit more down compared to the rest of the other episodes fight scenes. So, I would say out of the fight scenes we saw, this was definitely the more low quality animation we saw for this one. But still good at least. At least it's still watchable. I won't say it's complaining it was too bad, but it was definitely the more low quality animation we saw there. But overall, that's all I got to say. Anyway, guys, that was my review to Fate Apocrypha episode 14, guys. I hope you guys like it. Welcome to our fans today. If you guys send me fan mail, up below. And yeah, also, guys, if you want to become a Patreon, go to my Patreon. It's also in the description as well. And yeah, and you're gonna get help me to donate $1, technically dollar because it's an American website. So I should have mentioned this. You can only pay. I set up for you guys. I need to do it for $1. Pay $1 to donate $1 to me, so I can help you get better equipment for you guys and stuff. But that's how much you just have to donate. So if you guys want to help me out, that goes there. Just $1 helps me out. And yeah, and guys, I hope you guys like it. Comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.